What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another month of our deck introduction series. So this month we are bringing you Labyrinth. We are going to be getting this at the end of the month in the same set that we get Mr. Rune. Personally, I think that Mr. Rune is the better deck out of the two, but Labyrinth does do some pretty cute stuff. It is effectively Waifu Eldritch, so this may have a bit of a waifu tax attached to it. Also, stun players normally like that kind of thing, so this might see a little bit of play running around in places like that. Effectively, the way Eldritch works is, you've all seen it before, it interacts with its own traps. The way Labyrinth works is it interacts with other traps. So you're getting normal spell and trap cards that interact with your opponent's stuff, and then that gives you more pluses from there. Overall, deck functions decently well. It's all focused around removing your opponent's stuff and getting pluses from there, but we'll go through the cards one by one. Before we get started though, as always, please do remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people on the channel. And let's get on into this deck introduction. Okay, so given that this is a trap deck, it actually has more monsters than anything, but the monsters do just generically work with normal spell and trap cards that remove, so all the other trap cards that you see here do that, and that's thus the interaction occurs. First off, we do have Labyrinth Archfiend though. This is effectively your wall for the deck. So this is gains 400 attack for each normal trap with different names in your graveyard. Keep in mind, that will get very big very quickly as it starts at 2k. If this started at 1000, it could be a problem still. The fact that it's at 2000, this is probably going to be staring you at like 36 to 4k most games, and it's going to be a bit of a problem. Your opponent cannot target Fiend monsters for attacks except Labyrinth Archfiend. Another issue, you're not going to be able to run over all of the small stuff, which gets, like all of your small stuff gets pluses while it's on the field, so forcing your opponent to attack the Labyrinth Archfiend is effectively what you're trying to do here. You can only use each of the following effects of Labyrinth Archfiend once per turn. If a trap card is activated, this one doesn't say normal trap card, that may translate differently as we get it in the TCG. You can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, set one normal trap card that activates only when an attack is declared directly from the deck. So not only is it a magnet for your opponent's attacks, but you're going to be setting Storming Mirror Force. So your opponent declares, then they get storming. If your opponent isn't playing back row removal against this deck, it's not going to be the end of them. However, it is going to set them back a long way, and that's effectively what you're going to be doing with your Labyrinth Archfiend. Next off, we come into the Labyrinth Servant Ariane, and that is, you can send one normal one normal trap card from your hand or set on the field to the graveyard, special summon one level 4 Fiend monster from your deck. You're going to be special summoning the good one with that. And then from there, it is, if this card leaves the field, if this monster leaves the field, buy a normal trap, no, sorry, correction, let me fix this up. It's not this card, none of them say this card, they all have the same effect. If a monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect, draw one card, then you can special summon one Fiend monster or set a spell and trap card from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So typically using this as your extender, and like I mentioned before, all the trap cards that you're playing, bar probably the Infinite Impermanence and the D-Barrier, I guess, are removal cards, and that's where everything is going to start to revolve around, and you're going to get a lot of pluses from this. Then we have the good one, this is Ariana. If this card is normal or special summoned, add a Labyrinth card from your deck to your hand, so adds literally everything, it's your rotor for the deck. If a monster leaves the field, you can draw one card, then special summon one Fiend monster, or set one spell or trap card from your hand. This one isn't a normal, because this one you can get because you can insert the Labyrinth, you can set a Labyrinth, and you just kind of go from there. You can only use this effect once per turn, so that's the two little ones. Then we get into the furniture, I guess, in the Labyrinth. So there we have Chandra. This is a quick effect, send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard one card. Set one Labyrinth spell or trap card directly from your hand or deck. So you can use it to get a Welcome Labyrinth. Weirdly, Archfiend Glitch is an archetypal spell and trap card, but it's not searchable by this, can be very annoying. And then if a monster leaves the field by a trap effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand, so it just brings itself back. A lot of these like smaller things discard, but get your resources in the long game. Next off we have Stove. Quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard one card, set one Labyrinth spell or trap card from your hand or deck. If a monster leaves the field by a normal traps effect while this card is in your graveyard, special summon this card. So instead of adding back, you just get it back to the field. They each effectively do the exact same thing because you can send them from hand or field to the graveyard. And yeah, you can just go one into the other, get them both back, and then you start grinding and setting all of your welcomes, and you can go from there. After that, we have Labyrinth Kuklok. This is quick effect, discard this card. This turn, while you control a Labyrinth monster, you can activate normal spell trap cards, normal trap cards the turn they were set. You kind of use that with your other stuff to rotate things like that Storming Mirror Force and keep the protection going. If cards are sent from your hand to the graveyard to activate a normal trap card or a Labyrinth card's effect, while this card is in your graveyard, you can either add this card to your hand or special summon it. So it recurs itself when the other stuff gets the discards off, and everything just kind of keeps revolving. Then we have Golden Lord herself. I guess this is the waifu Golden Lord as you switch over. Your opponent can't activate monster effects in response to normal trap cards. Pretty damn good. They can't negate the Storming Mirror Force when they attack. You can only use each of the following effects of Labyrinth of Silver Castle once per turn. You can target one normal trap card in your graveyard, set it to your field, but you cannot activate it unless you control a Fiend monster. Everything is Fiend monsters, so it's fine. If a monster leaves the field by a normal trap's effect, you can destroy one card your opponent controls and a random card in their hand. So when you start removing stuff with Torrential, or I guess maybe not with Torrential, but with Storming and with Dogmatic Punishment, stuff like that, you're just going to start ripping cards out of your opponent's hand and clearing more of their board. This card can become very oppressive, and at 2900 attack, also other stuff's going to have to attack the other thing. It can be very difficult to get rid of if your opponent doesn't have any targeted removal. Then we get into the Labyrinth spell cards. So we've got Labyrinth. This is the field spell. You can activate non-Labyrinth trap cards. If you activate a non-Labyrinth trap card, you can special summon one Fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. So just free cycling. Every time you activate, back one comes. If you activate a Welcome Labyrinth normal trap card, you can add this card in addition to that card's effect. And then that is to destroy a card in the field. That does just happen when you resolve the trap card, so your opponent can't respond to this. They have to respond to the trap card. Is pretty good. And then we have Welcome Labyrinth coming up after that. This is just the archetypal trap card. It's just a free special summon from the deck. It does lock you, so it's special summon one Labyrinth monster from the deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the next turn after this card resolves, which is why we're playing Dogmatic Punishment. Literally doesn't matter. We're getting just more free pops. Now, if a monster leaves the field by a normal trap's effect, while this card is in your graveyard, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can set this card. So just free cycling, free resources. You're just gonna start rolling through. This is your Scarlet Sanguine. You're just gonna keep everything coming out, getting it back, getting more stuff to go. And then lastly, we will cover the non-archetypal one, I guess. This is Archfiend Glitch. Clearly, the cards in this archetype are on the card. This should have just been called Labyrinth or Labyrinth Glitch or Archfiend's Labyrinth, something like that. Make it searchable, but it is decently busted. It's target one card in the field, destroy it, and then you can Foolish. It's, what's the card? The card that we normally use to send Blackjack. Fiend's Griefing. It's just a better Fiend's Griefing. And then, of course, you are playing Blackjack in this deck. It's a Fiend monster, and everything's good. Everything is good. So now we get to the other list that I have here that plays Labyrinth. This is, I think, did better in the OCG than the other list. But the other list did feature more of the cards, which is why I chose to cover it first. So if you're looking to test the deck out, I'd probably start with something like this. You aren't playing the wall card that sets the Storming Mirror Force directly from the deck, which is rather cute, but you do have more of your other stuff instead to kind of give you that consistency. Of course, this list is 3 Blackjack, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Chandra, 2 copies of the Big Lord herself, Silver Castle, 3 copies of Ariane, and 3 copies of Stove, then 3 copies of Maxi. You can switch this out for anything. And then we have 2 copies of Labyrinth, 2 Extra with a Prosp. Your Extra deck, completely irrelevant in this deck. Dogmatic Punishment's the only thing that's going to be accessing it. And then for your trap cards, we've got 2 Compulse, 2 D-Barrier, 2 Punishment, 2 Summon Limit, 2 Torrential, 2 Trap Trick, and 3 Welcome Labyrinth. Pretty just heavy standard trap lineup. Then for your extra, you're playing a lot of Dogmatic Punishment targets, as well as a couple links that you can use here or there. It's 3 copies of Entis, 1 Omega, 2 Wind Pegasus Adignista, 1 Baguska, 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 2 Linkaribo, 1 Master King Archfiend, 1 Anima, and 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Then for your side deck, you've got a Chaos Hunter in here with a Gamma Seal, 2 Nibiru, a Token Collector, 3 Cosmic, a Harpies, 1 Regeki, 2 Dark Sacrifice. Again, these are Fiends, and these are level 3s. No, they're 4s. 2s. Is it just a level 3 or is it level 3 or lower? Level 3 or lower. Okay, yeah, so it gives you access to your Chandra and your Stove. That's pretty good. That's 2 copies of Dark Sacrifice. and then you've got 1 D barrier and 2 infinite impermanents rounding out the side deck. But that will bring us to a wrap up for this month's deck introduction series. Next month will likely be Splight, so if you're hanging out for Splight, that will be coming up. Do hit subscribe if you are interested in that. And of course, I am Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.